I am super excited to invite to stage a good friend of mine, Felipe Gomez, who's a serial entrepreneur, great businessman, who actually was able to put together two of his passions, business and music. I hope we take a lot from this, of how he's been able to make linkages, of how playing an instrument helps excel, the way he does things, the way he links it to business. Let's listen to Felipe. What a treat. Felipe?
Thank you, Juan. So I have a very concrete invitation today because I am a true believer that the only way to transcend and to really be agents of this growth that you have in front of you is to really change your mindset and think every day that you have to do it the best way possible, in an extraordinary way, just as if you were virtuosos. And this is probably the word that I'm going to be using most today, and probably you all have heard and used this word before, but probably not in a business context. No, it's a word that you usually use in the arts and more specifically in music. You know, it's very common to talk about a virtuoso pianist, a virtuoso violinist, a virtuoso trumpetist, but we seldomly or probably never have used this term in business. A virtuoso leader, a virtuoso manager, a virtuoso salesperson, a virtuoso sales team. And I wonder why, because it's a concept and a word that actually can be used and should be used in every single business around the globe. Because if you go and find the definition of virtuoso in a dictionary or in the web, you will find that a virtuoso is a person full of virtues. You can notice that it has the same root. And a virtue, it's a habit of doing good things. So if you fill yourself with habits of doing good things operationally in your business, as leaders with your teams, you're going to become virtuoso leaders, and you're going to be leading virtuoso teams, and we're going to build a virtuoso organization. But since this is a word that it's mainly used in the music scenario, in the music arena, well, I'm going to start with some little music, and I'm going to show you a little clip. So something extraordinary happened in that stage to make that audience, 1,500 people that were in the theater, to stand up, in a spontaneous way, to applaud with such enthusiasm. Something really powerful happened there, and probably we have all been in concerts where the outcome of the concert is a very dramatic and a very powerful standing ovation. So I am convinced that we have a lot to learn as business leaders from these virtuoso musicians that are traveling the world, playing in the most magnificent scenarios around the planet, and what we can learn from them and apply it in our everyday job, in our everyday work. So I would like to start with a question, and it's how do they do it? What is it that these musicians have that are able to provoke this reaction in their audiences? And I started probably 10 years ago studying successful musicians and talking with people and music critics and everything, and I finally got to the conclusion that for a musician to provoke that reaction in the audience, they have to comply with three conditions. So the first condition is that they have to play their instrument with mastery. They have to be really good performers of their instrument from a technical perspective. Apart from playing the instrument with mastery, they have to be able to connect with their audiences. And this is regardless if it's a small theater or a huge stadium with 60,000 people, they have to be able to connect. Mastery, connection, and the third is that they have to be able to generate emotions and feelings from the people listening to their performances. But what I want to do now is that let's try to open an imaginary door in our minds and try to apply that concept, the virtuoso concept, to this amazing and fantastic group of leaders of the Home Depot Pro Business Division. What do we need to do, or where do we need to focus to really achieve extraordinary performance? Well, the answer is very simple. We have to focus exactly on the same three dimensions where musicians need to focus to be virtuoso musicians. Whatever we do, we have to do it with mastery. We have to be real experts in what we do. We have to be able to connect with our audience, or audiences, because probably there are several audiences, and we're going to dig deeper into that later. And we have to create emotions. We have to really become very, proud of what we do. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go in depth into each one of these 3 dimensions, and I'm going to analyze it from the music perspective, and then try to see what we can learn or what we can get out of it for this group of sales leaders here in the Home Depot Pro. And we're going to start with mastery. So the first condition, as I told you, is that they need to master their instrument. And in order for a musician to master their instrument, what they need is to have a very clear method, and in a very disciplined way follow that method. And that method it's designed to learn and to practice. So to learn, to acquire all the necessary knowledge that a musician needs to become a musician, and the discipline and the rigor to practice to really become very good in what you do. So if someone wants to learn music, the first thing they need to do is to acquire or get the general knowledge of music, to understand the fundamentals of music. So for instance, you learn that all music written in history from the very beginnings to today has been written using only 12 notes. That every piece of music has 3 components: melody, harmony, rhythm. And then you have to start learning, the theory of music and how to read music and all the logic behind music. So you start getting to know the instruments and getting the knowledge from the instrument. And the more you know the instrument, the more comfortable you feel playing the instrument. And this is going to really allow you to connect with the instrument and play every time better. What really is going to make you into a great pianist is your discipline to practice. So what is practice? Practice is a disciplined, systematic, and logical process to achieve an objective in a proficient and effective way. Now let me ask you a question. Isn't this what we're looking for in every business, in every division? We want to achieve an objective in a proficient and effective way. Well, we have to have the same discipline and go through the same pain, because it's painful, that a musician goes through to really become and reach levels of mastery. So if someone's trying to learn the piano, they need to, every day they need to sit down on the piano and do exercises like scales, arpeggios, even there, because we really need to get out of that comfort zone so that we can learn new things, just as you were learning this morning. You went through the breakout sessions with the CRM and etc. No? So you have to learn new things, get out of your comfort zone, and then start practicing on how to use those new technologies, new tools, new instruments that you have to become better in what you're doing. So I told you that a virtuous person, a virtuoso person, was a person full of virtues. And here are 3 virtues that are really related to the method. Now, this is very interesting because everything I have told you, so it's studying, acquiring the knowledge, getting the right tools, and practicing so that you can master those tools is very related to the intellectual domain of the human being. So I'm learning, keeping my information on my brain, and then giving instructions from my brain to my body to practice and to become really good in what we do. And this is all related with the intellectual domain of the human being, which is the domain that we, most of the times, give a highest ranking in importance in the corporate world. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to try to sing it all together, okay? So we're going to try to sing it all together, okay? Okay, let's do it. Bye. Oh. I can barely hear you. Come on, it's 300 people here in this auditorium. We can do better. Okay, let's do it, with determination. Let's try to do it, with power. Let's try to do it the best way possible. Let's try to do it louder, okay? One more time. Let's do it really powerful. You ready? We have to do it loud and powerful, but we have to be in tune, It's awful. Now, let's talk a little bit about being in tune, because this is really important. When you go to a concert with an orchestra, the first thing that happens, before the conductor gets into the stage, is that the oboe, plays an A. So all instruments will tune up to A, so when they play together, it's going to be coordinated, and it's going to, it's going to be nice, no? So in a company, in an organization, being in tune, being in sync is absolutely fundamental, no? And that's probably one of the reasons of all of you being here seated today, because Juan is going to get here and he says, we need to get those 12 billion really, really soon. Do you understand? So we really need to get, and all of you have to say, yeah, in tune, coordinating the same page, because in order to achieve that, we need to be really coordinated on the same page with the same objectives. Each one of us, from our individuality and from our position, we have to put whatever we have to put to make it happen, but we have to be in tune. Okay, so let's do this song again, but let's tune up. Okay. Oh, wow. That's very good. There it goes. Oh, louder. A little bit louder. We're going to do a journey in time, and we're going to go back to the 1500s. In the 1500s, there were people like Vivaldi and Telemann and Bach. It was the Baroque period on the history of music. And if any of you are really classical musical fans, you will understand that the Baroque music very much resembles the values and the principles and the virtues of method. So if you listen to any piece from Bach or Vivaldi or Telemann, what you're going to get, without being any expert on music, is that it's a very exact music. It's very full of little details, and it requires a lot of effort and determination and energy and coordination, both to compose and to perform the Baroque music. It's very mathematical. It's very logical. So what I want to do now is that I would like to provide a couple of minutes for you to reflect on these messages that I've been telling you. And the way we're going to do this reflection is that I'm going to put some questions on the screen. So each one of you individually try to answer those questions, and if there's a question that really captures your... But how many great musicians that really master their instrument are out there, and they are not touring the world playing in the greatest scenarios? Many musicians, for many reasons, but one very common reason is that they are not able to connect with their audiences. And this has nothing to do with the mastery of the instrument. So we need the method in order to master our instrument. In order for us to connect with our audiences, what we need is to have the right attitude. So here I would like to formulate a question to all of you, which is this one: what's your music like? How you would say, what's that question? I understand. Well, your attitude, your daily attitudes, could be expressed as music. It's like if we had a speaker here, and we are projecting music all the time, and that music is reflecting the attitude that we have in that moment. So sometimes you meet with people, you go into a store and there are people that are super dynamic and, and really enthusiastic, and people like to be around them, and you see them and you actually can hear something like... But then sometimes you go into a store and you're looking for something, and then you, hey sir, how are you? Hello. How can I help you today? No, people that are sad, you almost want to cry when you meet people like this. And every day you meet people that are, in this sad mood, pessimistic. And some other times you meet people that are like suspicious, mysterious, so you don't really understand what they're saying. And if they have an office, they will lock the office and lock the drawer, and they will cover their papers, and you say, hey, what's the strategy to get to those 12 billion? That's confidential. So everything is confidential, and when you see or interact with someone like this, you immediately feel other people are always in a bad mood, angry, no? So they get to the store or to the office and people say, oh, he's here. Oh, here he comes, here he comes. And they will scream, they're always angry, no? So each of us, all the time, is projecting this music that reflects our attitudes, and this music, these attitudes, are going to either connect us or disconnect us with the people that we have around us. Now, what can we do to consciously work in our attitudes to better connect with our teams, with our customers, with our business partners? There are 3 virtues that are really powerful. Virtue number 1, empathy. What is empathy? Empathy is the virtue to share someone else's feelings or experiences by imagining what it would be to be in that person's situation, in his or her shoes. If we're able to develop that virtue, it's going to be much easier for us to interact with someone in any kind of situation. It could be a conflict situation, it could be a difficult situation, it could be I'm selling something, but if I really try to put myself into that person's shoes, understand what they're feeling, try to understand what they're thinking, what I'm going to say is really going to connect in a better dimension. Virtue number 2 is service. So I'm here to serve you. You know? It's always being in this disposition to serve. It's the virtue of being in constant disposition to help others. To help your people, you know, your teams, to help your peers at work, to help your customers, to really be there and put yourself on a second on the list. The first on the list is the person you have in front of you. And this goes well beyond customer service. This is about really creating a culture of serving. Not a culture of service, but a culture of serving. We are here to serve. And virtue number 3, it's humility. Because when you serve with arrogance, it's no good. What you're doing with your hand, you're erasing with your elbow. So what is humility? It's to silence our virtues, not to talk so much about how good we are, and allow people to discover them. And a great sign of humility is that a great musician, when they walk into the stage, the first thing they do is that they stand in the middle of the stage, they look at the audience, and they bow. What are they saying when they bow? They're saying, I'm here to serve you. This is for you. This is about you, not about me. With a service attitude and with humility. We have very powerful tools. Our eyes. Also, you saw the clip from Benjamin Sanders this morning about the shining in your eyes. No? So today, we have lost the habit of making eye contact. Our eyes are there in the smartphones, in the PDAs, in the computers, and we're only interacting with machines, you know, and we forgot to really connect physically with our eyes with the people and allowing the people to see the shining in our eyes. Another great tool we have to connect is our laughter, our smiles, you know, to smile, to be happy, to present that we're having fun, we're happy, and now we're all grumpy and in a bad mood, you know, and, my problems and the traffic and blah, blah, blah. No? If we go tonight, or when you go back home, to the person that we really love the most, you know, my little daughter, my wife, my husband, my partner, you know, my mom, I say, no, you know, there was this guy with a piano, and they say that we project his music. What's my music? Tell me, what's my music? What are they going to answer? I think we probably know, or we probably can kind of guess what their answer is going to be. Now, let me ask you a question. Do you feel comfortable? Do you like that music that you are projecting to the people you love the most? Because if you don't like it, change it. Attitude is a personal decision. All of us, absolutely all of us, are full of problems and challenges in our minds We have many wounds in our hearts, but it's our decision to walk with our head up and with a smile on our face. Now we're talking. Okay, let's do it. Oh, louder. One more time. Big applause, big hand of applause to you. Fantastic. Oh, much better. Now let me ask you two questions. Two questions. Ready? Question number one. Do you think this was better than the first time we did it? Yeah. Absolutely. Question number two. Did it feel better? Was it fun? You know, what do you think? Yes? Completely different. So what's the key learning from this? That when we put a little attitude, a different attitude, a positive attitude on what we're doing, and this is as easy as probably just raising your head, looking at the person beside you and smiling to that person, what we do very well, because we are experts in doing this, amplifies. You know, it's a multiplier of excellence. So whatever we do good, if we do it with the right attitude, it's going to amplify, it's going to multiply. But most important, we enjoy it. We have fun doing it. And when we have fun doing what we do, we want to do it again. And we want to do it better. So this starts activating this virtuous circle I'm going to talk at the end. The attitude multiplies and enhances the expertise and the mastery that we can achieve through the method. Okay? So, I told you that the method in the company will take the company to reach extraordinary levels of operational excellence, right? The attitude is going to consolidate a culture of serving. Not a culture of service, a culture of serving. There's a big difference, you know, and I found this in an article that I thought it was very insightful. The difference between the companies that delight you and those that consistently frustrate you often comes down to one thing. The very best build and sustain a culture of serving rather than settling for a culture of service. I think the culture of service is kind of, you know, it's too much. Too many people talking about a culture of service. We really need to differentiate on that sense. So we're going to do our second reflection exercise, and I want to do it now going in our journey in time to the 1700s, to the classical period, where people like Mozart or Clementi, the Italian classical genius, were the big shots at the time. So I'm going to play a little sonatina from Clementi, and you're going to feel that there are some notes that makes the music happier than the Bach that we heard at the beginning, probably with more personality, with a better attitude, maintaining, you know, the rigor and the discipline of the Baroque period. So I'm going to play a little Clementi while I'm going to give you and leave you with the reflecting questions. Thank you. So this is the second pillar, establishing and maintaining a culture of service. But then there's the third one, which is probably the less evident, but I think probably the most important. And it's being able to really get emotional about what you do and really putting all of the love and passion and commitment in what you're doing. And I really, when I was back there and I heard this, how do you call it? The cheer, it was amazing. You can really feel the emotion and the energy. And this is something you should really feel very proud of. So we have the method to achieve mastery, the attitude to connect, but what really drives the emotions in the workplace and in life in general is that everything we do it with passion, with real passion, with real love. When you put love into what you're doing, the ordinary ceases to happen and the extraordinary starts to happen. Love, commitment. When you really put yourself into it, it's when the extraordinary really happens. No? So you have this orange blood flowing through your veins, and there's a culture of pride and of ownership here, and this is something you need to leverage. This is a huge advantage because this is going to help you to really get in love with what you do in the company you're working for and to really put into your mindset and your behaviors this passion that is really going to make the difference. Now you might tell me, look, Felipe, but passion and love in a corporation, that's BS, no? And I want to challenge you, because I already told you that method helps us achieve operational excellence, first pillar of a virtuous organization. Attitude helps you consolidate a culture of serving. And it is passion, and only passion, what really drives innovation and progress in a corporation. Why? Because only the people that are passionate about what they do are the people that ask themselves every day, how can we do this better? How can we serve these clients better? How can we sell more? People that are not passionate about what they're doing, they never ask these questions. They don't mind. They are stuck in their comfort zones, and they don't mind. So as leaders, you need to really get your people emotional and passionate about what they do, because this is the only way that they're going to start asking themselves these questions. And the answers to our problems are in their hands, because they're there dealing with our customers every day, dealing with the problems and with the challenges. And so they have the answers. As leaders, we need to be able to provoke them and to really make them start thinking in a passionate way so that they can start doing and asking these questions. And this requires courage. When people start asking, how can we do this better? How can we do this better? You need courage to ask that question and to really explore new ways of doing things. We are in the era of experimentation. I talked about the 10,000 hours for becoming experts, where now there's a complementary rule called the 10,000 experiments. You should be doing thousands of experiments on the store, on the phone, on your app, on your website, experimenting all the time. Putting new products, if we change the order, if we put the little hand like this or that, explore, experiment like crazy. And the key success factor in experimentation is quantity. We need a lot of experiments, because from quantity you get a very few that are really breakthrough experiments that are going to provoke, exponential growth in the organization, and many that probably didn't work. So we need to learn to embrace failure or things that don't work. But quantity is the key word here. If you see the works of the creative geniuses like Bach, he composed 1,128 pieces of music, and they say that 90% of his work was burnt in a fire in a little town in Germany. So probably he composed 11,000 pieces of music. Pablo Picasso, he drew 50,000 paintings. 50,000. Do you think he would be who he is if he had painted 50 or 100 paintings? It's in the quantity where he discovered his true strengths, the colors that he liked, the textures that he provoked. Quantity. So you need to start asking yourself, let's experiment, let's try new things. And this is the real driver of innovation. There's a study done by Ben Clark and John Bond about how these huge companies that are like the icons of innovation and digital Experiment. No? And they say, look, a company like Facebook is making 100,000 experiments a year, Google 7,000, Amazon 2,000, Apple 3,000, Netflix 1,000. Now they have a method for experimenting. So they document everything, what worked, what didn't work, lessons learned. And they just keep on experimenting and trying new things. And this is the way that they're making progress. Companies that stop experimenting is companies that are going to die. So I really encourage you to embrace passion so that we can start asking these questions and we can start experimenting. In the process of experimenting, we're going to make mistakes, or some of those experiments are not going to work as we thought so. But as Beethoven said, the great composer of the 19th century, to play the wrong note is insignificant. But to play without passion is inexcusable. And exactly as I tell you today here, to experiment and run an experiment thinking that it's going to be great and it didn't work out, it's insignificant. Learn about it and don't do it again. But if you come to work every day, week after week, day after day, and you come here and work without passion, it's unexcusable. Because passion is the driver for excellence. Passion is the driver of progress. Passion is the driver of innovation. So the virtues associated with passion are love, courage, and the constantly search for perfection. We'll probably never get there, but we have to try to get every day a little better in what we're doing, trying to reach those levels of perfection. And we have to have that in mind, that we wake up in the mornings and we ask ourselves, how can I do today better what yesterday I did very well? Every day. And keep asking these questions for yourself and for your teams. So method was all about the mind, attitude was all about the body, and passion is all about your heart, your soul. So a virtuous person, a virtuous leader is a leader that puts everything he or she has into the task and the responsibility he or she is embracing. Their intelligence, their capacity to communicate through the body, and all the love and the passion that you can bring out from your heart and nowhere else. So it's not only about the mind. It's about being holistic in an approach to an extraordinary performance. So let's do it one more time, okay? Very last time, I promise, but let's do it really with passion and with love. So the way we're going to do this is exactly the same, looking at each other, smiling. But we're going to do it. Stand up, everybody, please. Because a good choir always, sings standing up. Let's get in tune. Okay, this is your very last chance, so you better do it really good. Let's do it. Louder! Louder! Last time. Excellent! Woo, big round of applause to you all. Fantastic, excellent. So we're going to do the very last reflection exercise, okay? If we can put down the lights again, thank you. And we're going to do it, and we're going to go back to the 18th century, 19th century, the romantic period of music where Chopin, and Beethoven were the big figures at the time. So I'm going to be playing the first movement of Beethoven's Fifth Symphony, a transcription for piano. And I'm going to put the questions and enjoy it, and I hope it really sparks some thought process in what you're doing. Thank you. Thank you very much. So I have 3 minutes left, and I just want to wrap up doing a little summary of what I have tried to express and transmit to you today while we listen to a little fragment of Mahler's Sixth Symphony. It's called the Symphony of 1,000, because there's a 1,000-piece choir singing this song. So the invitation is to really embrace this virtuoso mentality as leaders in order to transcend and to take this business unit to the next level and get to those 12 and 20 billion very soon. And the way to do it, first of all, is that we have to focus on our methods, our procedures, our systems. You've been in the breakout this morning. This is going to help us become real masters in what we do, best in class, best in the industry, and we're going to achieve this practicing the virtues of determination, discipline, and perseverance, and this is going to translate into the business in extraordinary levels of operational excellence. On top of that, we have to have the right attitude, the music that we're projecting all the time, so that we can connect with our different audiences, and we're going to achieve this by putting into practice the virtues of empathy, service, and humility, and this is going to translate into the consolidation of a real culture of serving in this team. And finally, last but not least, is to really put all the passion, all the love, to know that we can into what we're doing so that we can really get emotional and transmit those emotions to the people around us. And we're going to achieve that putting into practice the virtues of love, courage, and the constant seeking of perfection. And this is going to ignite innovation, and it's going to be the driver of progress in our team and in our organization. If we apply this simple framework in what we're doing, what's going to happen is that all of your audiences, starting with your clients, are going to stand up. And they're going to make a standing ovation because people celebrate virtuosity. And this is why people really do these standing ovations. And I encourage you to do standing ovations when you see someone doing a great job. Do a standing ovation because it's a great feedback for that person. And now apply this, of course, in your everyday businesses, but also apply it in your relationships with your children. You know, I think kids today really need to learn that living a virtuous life is possible, maybe through our example. I'm talking about virtues at home. But also as men and women in business, we have to, and leaders, we have to really bring out the virtuoso in every one of us and really try to constantly think on doing great things. Sometimes, like you guys are in positions of leadership, you have to be the light so that the people that you're leading will shine and will perform in extraordinary ways. And if you're not a leader, but you're just a part of the orchestra, a part of the team, just do your part as a virtuoso, with method, attitude, and passion, and that is going to allow you to transform yourself and to really inspire other people to transform themselves too, so that we can really build a better tomorrow and a better world and a great organization. So really, thank you very much. 3 o'clock sharp, 1 hour, and thank you. Oh, wow.
Felipe.
Selfie.
Oh, a selfie. Okay, there we go.
Thank you very much, Juan.
Thank you very much for inspiring us.
Thank you.
A little token of appreciation for you. Thank you for spending the afternoon with us, for inspiring us. We're better people because of this car. So
okay, well, thank you very much. See you soon.